Good morning. We'll call to order the meeting of the Regional Council for this April 16th. Mayor Pitts is, I've got a lot of storm issues and water and flood down in Montgomery County, so he could not be with us today. So you'll have to put up with me at least for the next few minutes. We have got a quorum, so we can move forward with today's business. First item is approval of the minutes. You should have had that in your packet, as well as you have extra copies here at the meeting. Had a chance to go over those. Move approval. Got a move to approve as presented. We have a second. We have a second. Any comments, concerns, or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have approved minutes from our December meeting. Moving on in, this is the opportunity for public comment. Public forum is now open. Anybody wishes to address the council. All right, seeing no one approach it from the public, we will move on, get into our informational items for the day. First item is the Tennessee 3-Star Program. Miss Amy Napoli, the GNRC Director of Economic and Community Development. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Like you said, I'm Amy Napoli. I'm the Director of Economic and Community Development for GNRC. I'm pleased to introduce someone today who has been an important partner to our agency as well as the communities across our region. Jody Sliger has served as statewide Community Development Director for the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development for more than 10 years. Jody manages the state's 3-Star program, which serves to promote economic and community prosperity through collaboration and actionable projects. Jody is here today to inform us about some exciting changes in the 3-Star program. Please help me welcome Jody Sliger.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, you guys know so that any of you guys that know me know that me standing still behind this is going to be difficult for me. So if I happen to move around, I can raise my voice a little bit. All right, let's see how I can go through this slide. So we're going to talk about 3-Star. I talk fast. I have a lot of information. I'm so excited to be presenting this information to you about the changes in the 3-Star program. We just talked about the 3-Star mission statement. It really is, how can we build collaborative opportunities within our communities with our local stakeholders? It's been around for 45 years since Governor Alexander's administration put it in place in 1980. I talk a lot about a community. A community is shaped by the heart of the people. It's where they spend their time, their effort, and their resources. And I like to really build out that 3-Star uses that holistic approach to bring the local team together to make a difference in the economic success of your community. Our certification program works with these communities to collaborate and to build these partnerships within their different areas. I have several different categories that we use. We try to bring the local team together. Everybody on the local team is busy. You guys work with some of the busiest people. We've always got 17,000 things that we haven't done that we need to do. How do we come together and communicate what we're doing to see if there's an opportunity for us to maybe work or partner with another agency, whether it be, the city, counties, 3-Star people, Chamber of Commerce's, industrial development, tourism, retail, Main Streets, K through 12 education, our post-secondary education, UT Extension, public safety, health, utility companies, broadband, all these different pieces, volunteer, faith-based, and workforce development. Bringing the team together in your local community really can provide an opportunity that we just do not have a time to do very often, is how do we bring this team together to have a conversation? So, and I've done some of your meetings. I think I was looking at I didn't do my math, but about a third of your counties, y'all got 13 counties, a third of those counties have already conducted their 3-Star meeting. About a third of those counties have presented and have approved plans that they are executing, that they are pulling their 3-Star goals from, and I have about a third left to conduct their 3-Star meetings. Happy to invite any of you to come. Okay, so that's a task force. We do it with an asset-based planning process. So instead of doing like a SWOT analysis where we're talking about where our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, and our threats, then we're looking at really what are our assets? Because I don't know what it is about us, but we tend to really focus on those burdens and those weaknesses and those threats. But when we use a different approach, we look at what are our assets and how can we grow our assets and work on developing improvements in those different areas. So that's what we do with the 3-star program. This year, we've doubled the amount of goals that we will create in the 3-star program. It includes 3 short-term goals, things we can get done in 12 to 18 months, as well as 3 long-term goals. And when I say long-term, I'm talking 5 years. I'm not talking about a 2050 plan, although sometime I'd like to, but a 2050 plan is not in the scope. It is about the 5-year ideas. What can we do and how can we get there? And developing these priority goals, and then we work to try to align what you guys are wanting to do with any kind of resources. If it's a funding resource, if it's technical assistance, or if I've got another county across the state that's done those same things or has implemented that type of project, I might go, hey, we need to call Suzanne. She did that a few years ago, and let's talk to her and find out how she did it, how she funded it, what it cost her, what lessons she learned that she would not do that again, kind of thing. Do a little R&D, rob and duplicate information from another community. I am all about sharing these best practices and helping communities help others. So 3 long-term, 3 short-term. I pulled this picture out deliberately, just by the way. Don't know if y'all noticed. That's a Wilson County one, when I did Wilson County one a couple years ago. We brainstorm goal ideas. This team does, your local team. We prioritize those, identify who's going to be the team lead, develop action steps, work through this, identify resources, and then connect them to those resources as we go through. Most of you guys are aware of the different teams that we have with ECD. We have a business development team. They work with your existing industries. They really build out, are there opportunities for your existing industries, your manufacturers to grow? Is there an opportunity for you to recruit additional manufacturers with high quality jobs? And your business development team works in your region, they live in your region, and they work with your manufacturers in their communities to grow that product, that industrial sites and those things. We have the Entertainment Commission, and they work with the film, the television industry, music industry to try to build that industry and offer them additional resources. We have a CERT team, the Center for Economic Research in Tennessee. That team is made up of incredibly smart people who pull together a lot of data sets. And there's a few dashboards that are available online where you can look at those data sets and be able to tell a better story. Anytime you can make a decision and use some data to make that decision, it's just a better decision overall. So those are the things we do. With our community and rural development team, we talk a lot about how can we help the community. So we do Main Street, we do site development pieces, we do 3-star, which is the best program that we have. I'm not a bit biased about that. I'm totally biased about that. Delta Regional Authority doesn't affect you. That's the west side of the state. Community Development Block Grants affect some of you. Others, y'all get direct. ARC, none of you guys are in ARC. Downtown Improvement, if you are a Main Street or a Tennessee downtown, you have access to funding to be able to help pretty up and beautify and make your downtown area more welcoming. Broadband accessibility, Blue Oval City, Historic Development Grant. We have a program that we used to call Placemakers that is now part of 3-star. Is one of the big changes that we have in 3-star this year. Is this Placemakers would help support small businesses, entrepreneurs, not directly, but to help the communities provide training for these small businesses, some co-work space, those types of things to build out in the communities. It is now part of 3-star. So as priority goals are being developed, the priority goals are due in June. As they are being developed in your respective counties, then there are opportunities to develop goals that will affect that and allow these organizations that do that work to apply for grant funding to help them make better impact into your economic impact. And then the infrastructure planning grant is another piece. This is our website. And I just clipped the top of it and put it on the website so that you could look. But if you go into any of these areas, you can drill down more information about these different programs, who manages those programs for your area, and how can we help you meet those needs in your looking at that holistic approach of your community, agriculture, health, safety, all the things. How do we bring that team together and make a difference in your community. I pulled out the Northern Middle investment. This is just the Community and Rural Development team with ECD. You guys have received 339 awards for over $106 million since 2011. That's just the Community and Rural Development team. That is not any of your business pieces that you would have received any grants. Somebody has to know about these programs. They have to make a competitive application to be awarded. Then if they are awarded, if they've done that, they've told their story well and they're awarded, then they have to manage that project. And then they have to be able to, get that reimbursement done. So it's a process and somebody has to know about these programs. So reading your emails, attending trainings, doing a 3-star meeting or whatever it is to find out how can we make a difference in our community and connect our community organizations with these resources. That's what we try to do. And I kind of went through, so I've got Houston County coming up, I've got Stewart, Sumner, and Trousdale County coming up. I've either done the other ones or they have submitted a plan for us to look at to approve so that they can pull their goals out of that plan, those 6 goals that they've got to do. And those goals are then defined into the SMART goals, that SMART. It really helps kind of define what they're going to do. They also have to identify who's a team lead on that project, who's going to move it to the next level, who's going to help gather up the team to actually get that program executed to complete that goal. When we're looking at those things, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Grant applications. So this is one of the other big changes. We have a grant traditionally over the last several years. We didn't have a grant until like 13, I believe. Then we started implementing a grant. We've done $5,000 grants, $10,000 grants. $50,000 is what we've had to award for the grant. Over the last, I think, 3 rounds of 3-star, they've increased that to $250,000. There is a 5% embedded in that you can use for a third-party administrator so that you can, hire a company to help you manage that grant project. The applications must align to a county 3-star priority goal. The grantee must be an eligible entity and must be named as a lead or a named partner on one of the goals. And then that grant application opens on June 1st, which is the same date that their goals are due. So the goals get smartened up, team leads are identified from your community, and then they are built out with action steps put into a timeline. Those are the ones that are eligible for grant funding. And you can apply for up to $250,000 with no match to be able to achieve one of your 3-star priority goals. It does open on June the 1st, and they will be awarded on a rolling basis. As long as I've got funding, I do expect it to be highly competitive. Look at me. I did that so quick and fast. And my name is Jody Schlager. How'd I do? Thank you so much. If I can ever be of assistance, that is my contact information. Several of you guys know me. I've done several of your meetings already, so let me know if I can help with anything at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jody. Any questions or comments about 3-star? Thank you, Ms. Jody, and also thank the ECD staff of GNRC.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, I do want to give a shout out to Amy Napoli for everything that she does. She heads up our ECD team. That also includes Amy Thorne and Chris Barber, and then our newest addition, Donna Anderson. So if y'all want to stand and be recognized. Okay. We always appreciate the information from Jody, but it is a lot. The good news for this group is that you have your staff here in the room with you for any follow-up questions. They are really good at helping you explore grant opportunities, including the 3-star program and beyond, helping you write competitive grant applications. And then if you are awarded a project, we'd be happy to administer that project for you as well. And then they're supported by our planning team and our research team. So Jody talks about asset management planning and have a good vision for your community. Our planning team can help with that. And then the research team is really skilled at pulling together the data and the case making for your applications, including the economic impact analysis that sometimes can make your application stand out from the rest of the field. So Jody, thank you for all the information.
Take care. All right, we'll move along in our agenda today. We have 2 action items for consideration. First is Resolution GNRC 2025-05, approving the annual update to the Area Plan on Aging and Disability Services for Northern Middle Tennessee. We'll turn the floor over to Ms. Sarah Fowler at this point. Ms. Sarah.
Thank you. Yes. I'm Sarah Fowler. I'm the Director of Aging and Disability at GNRC. And so today I'm here to talk to you about our area plan. So I kind of want to give you an overview so you know what that is and why it's important and why you should care and why I should care too. And then talk about the budget, which isn't my favorite, but important. And then also talk to you about some of our accomplishments and then what we also want to continue to work towards. So just to give you an overview, our funding comes from the federal level through the Health and Human Services down to our state level. So our state unit on aging is the Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging. And then from there, it goes to the local level. There are 9 AAADs across the state. And so the purpose of the funding, even though it's federal, is to work at the local level. So the funding comes through the Older Americans Act, which was enacted in 1965. It was the first initiative of its kind to provide funding for services for older adults. So yay. And this year, the AAAs, or Area Agency on Aging, across the states of the whole country, they turned 50 this year. So we're really excited about that milestone. So the purpose of the Older Adult Act was to create a national aging network, to promote services, and to get funding out on the local level. So this is kind of an overview of the buckets of services through the Older Americans Act. And one thing I want you to take, if you don't listen to anything else I say, one thing I want you to remember is we have a helpline, 615-255-1010. So if you, somebody in your community, somebody you talk to casually at the park has a question about services for older adults, services for adults with disabilities, our helpline can help. You don't have to rack your brain trying to remember what is available in your community. You can send them to us. We will rack our brains. So 615-255-1010. I want to try to come up with a little jingle for that. So maybe by next year I can sing it to you. Also, so some of these buckets, you're probably familiar with, like nutrition. That's going to fall under the Meals on Wheels program. It's very important. I think all of you are familiar with it in your areas. And also we do congregate meals through that. We also do disease prevention, which is our evidence-based programming. A lot of that is worked through our senior centers. They do programming. So to prevent falls, so people know how to manage their chronic disease, to manage their arthritis. So these programs have been so influential in helping people age well and age in place, that they can remain at home. Family caregiver. So one thing I always want to highlight is, well, not really, but want you to know that Tennessee is one of the lowest ranking states in the country for caregiver support services. While I am not proud to state that fact, the good part of that is that we can be better and we can do better, and we're trying every day and every year to do better. But I always want to make sure, as long as we're down there, that I'm saying that and that we can move that needle. Ombudsman and elder abuse. So in the next slide, I'm going to go to some budget, but I want to pause and talk about the Ombudsman program. With our budget, I am going to talk a little bit more in depth than I normally do because I want you to know about some of the shortfalls that we will be experiencing. The Ombudsman program is one of those that we're really concerned about. During COVID, when nursing homes were locked down and families couldn't get in, the Ombudsman became really important. And just in case you don't know, the Ombudsman is who is an advocate for those in facilities, whether it's nursing home or assisted living. So if there are issues, loved ones not being taken care of, somebody's not getting the care they need, they can call the ombudsman. The ombudsman will be their advocate for them when they don't feel that they have a voice. During COVID and soon after with the lockdown, the workforce labor shortage, those complaints skyrocketed. The need for the ombudsman skyrocketed. So it has leveled out, but that need is still very high. The problem is our funding hasn't changed. We had received additional ARP, American Rescue Program dollars during COVID, but those are ending. So our concern is that we are going to be losing some ombudsman staff, which means, give you an example, our ombudsman shared with me a story of this past year where she had a resident talking about how she was hungry. You get all your meals in the nursing home. Well, the more the ombudsman dug into it, she found out that the nursing home wasn't necessarily handing out dinners. They were short-staffed. They couldn't get to everybody. So people were going hungry or without a meal that night. And then overnight, they were short-staffed. They didn't have the required staffing requirement. So if somebody needed care, they wouldn't get it till the next morning when more staff was there. That ombudsman went during dinner time, went during the night, 2 a.m., whatever, in the middle of the night, to check and found that this was happening. And she worked with that facility, the administrators, to get that facility up to where they needed to be, which was the basic minimum level of care. And so none of this should be okay with us. And so when I learn that our ombudsman funding is being cut, that's what I think about. I think about those residents that don't feel that they have a voice, and they're going to lose that. So however you can raise your voice in support of funding, I want to encourage you that that is a really important service. To talk a little bit more about our budget. So these are some of our state-funded programs. GNRC gets about 20% of the funding, or 21% statewide, because of our population. It's based on population. We are experiencing a decrease in guardianship. So that is another thing I want to make you aware of. Again, some of Tennessee's most vulnerable adults. So our guardianship clients are people that the court has deemed that they cannot make decisions for themselves. And that's not taken lightly. That's not an easy thing to do. Also, these people don't have family, don't have friends that can help them. So we are the last resort. We are the state, and we take the individuals that don't have family, that don't have support, and can't make those decisions. And our funding is 13% of the state, which is below the typical allocation. And if you've heard Michael or myself talk about the budget in the past, you know that we supplement that budget because we feel that it's a very important program. Now, the state is mandated to fully fund this program, and that is something that we are continuing to try to advocate for. And our state agency has tried to advocate for that as well. They have been requesting additional funding. So far, we are not receiving that. But again, these individuals, they have no one else to speak for them. So these are the programs that I'm really most concerned about, and I want you to know about. And I don't feel like I would be doing my job if you walked away and didn't know these issues. So we do work with our state agency on a state plan. They are doing their state plan right now and have an open comment period for till the end of the month. And ours works in concert with theirs, which is a great partnership because you want to be on the same page as your state agency, and we feel like we are. So what does that mean for you all and for us? Our role as the AAAD, or the Area Agency on Aging and Disability. So the area plan, we establish our goals and priorities and objectives. Basically, we are telling you, the public, the government, how we are spending these funds to serve older adults. So that's the real purpose of this plan. It also, we are required to procure our provider network, which means good for our taxpayer dollars. We're vetting these programs. We're making sure that they're great partners and they're serving our people well. We serve as the gateway to information and assistance. Again, 615-255-1010. And we screen individuals for eligibility for services. So if you know somebody that needs help, you don't have to necessarily remember what our programs are. You can send them to us. We are going to screen them and look at whatever programs they might be eligible for and get them funneled to that program, but whatever's quickest. Connect individuals to service and track service delivery and monitor quality. So again, with our funds being state and federal, we want to make sure that we are tracking where they're going and that they are quality services. So we have a very robust data system and quality assurance program. So this is kind of an overview. So we do a major update every 4 years. So we are in our last small update. Next year will be our major update where we reevaluate the whole plan. So these are our overarching goals from the original year, and we've carried them through and tried to stay on task as far as when we are looking at the next year. So sometimes I have a tendency to think of all of the things that we're not doing for older adults in our community, all of the gaps I see, all of the calls we hear of needs that we can't meet. And that really is, can get you down. But this time of the year, when we have to sit down and look at our accomplishments, it's really good for us to look back and think, oh, we have moved the needle. Maybe it's not exactly where we want to be, but we are getting there. And I'm so proud of our staff. Our staff works so hard and they're so dedicated. Again, our helpline and just our service coordinators. I'm sure that some of you have experienced this since you're in public office, but people aren't always nice to you when you're in a public role. You might get yelled at on the phone. You might get an angry family member in the home. You have to sit there and you have to listen and you have to understand all of their expectations that haven't been met. And then you have to work through that. And our staff do a great job of that. So some of our highlights that I wanted to share with you. So one of the things we hear about with senior centers is that people, they're not old. I'm not old enough to go to a senior center. I think my father, who is 85, would tell you that as well. So we worked with our senior centers to rebrand if they were interested. Quite a few have taken us up on that. So they've changed their name. They've changed some of the services they're providing. They're trying to reach younger population. They're trying to make themselves more relevant to the community. So we're really excited about that because one of the things also that came out of COVID is social isolation and what a detriment to our health that can be. So as we all age in this room, keep those connections. And if that means you have to go to a senior center, go to a senior center. They are amazing places. And if you haven't been to one in your community, go visit, see the classes that they're doing. It's amazing. You will smile when you are there and walk out. We also, our state agency also did an initiative for us to work with local farmers and connected us. So at GNRC, we worked with Tennessee Grass-Fed. And they helped us connect with our senior centers and provide local hamburger, which seems simple, but our senior centers loved it. The members loved it. It was a day that they could come together, celebrate, again, be together, socialize, and partake in those activities. One of the ways we've been trying to be a better partner is our improved billing system, which that's kind of boring, but it's also exciting for us because we spend a lot of time in-house managing data, managing invoices, making sure what somebody is invoicing is what they they put in our database. Like, so all of that management is being more streamlined through our state database, and we're super excited about that. And then we worked, again, another way we've worked with our state agency is to increase the reimbursement rates for our in-home service providers. So one of the things we hear is we can't pay them enough. Our reimbursement rate is based on 10 care rates, and our state has the ability to go above. And so they made that decision. And so we have been able to get more in-home service providers, which means we can serve more older adults and adults with disabilities. So that's exciting. And then our Medicare counseling, we have 2 Medicare counselors, and we have a lot of volunteers. They increased their outreach and their counseling by 31%, which is, they're rock stars. I mean, we have amazing volunteers and we have an amazing team. And that also plays into our outreach and our volunteers. Like, it is, I just can't express to you how important that is. And I think one thing that highlights that is it can monetarily, we can track that. We had an individual who came into one of our events. She wasn't planning to, she had been on the same plan for years, wasn't planning to change, but I think a family member had suggested she just go check it out. Well, she had one medication that would not be covered on the plan the next year. That one medication would have cost her $27,000 over the year. So if she wouldn't have gone in, if she wouldn't have had the counseling session, she would have had to pay out of her pocket over this next year $27,000. I don't know about you, but that would really be detrimental to my budget. So now she's in a better place because she took that half hour with our Medicare counselor, and what an amazing testimony to the power of that service. Increased outreach. We are always trying to get our name out there. One of the things that's hardest for me to hear is like, I wish I would have known about you while my mother was still alive. That, I don't want anybody to ever have to say that to me again. But people don't know about us. And then we're trying more and more to get the word out. Now we do have an amazing outreach coordinator, and she has done a fabulous job. We've participated in over 82 events last year, and over 13,000 people. Like, so we are continuing again to move the needle. Will it ever be where we want it to be? I hope not. I hope we always want to do better and be more. But those are, again, the things that we are improving on every year. So our nutrition providers, we are constantly kind of asking them, what more can you do? What can we do? So they have expanded some of their services. Instead of only congregate lunch, they also provide congregate breakfast, because some of the seniors, they don't want to stay all the way to lunch, but having that meal is an important way to get them to the center, an important way for them to socialize. So we really were excited about that concept and that they've started that. And then we've worked really hard to expand some of our services. We found a medical supply provider, and just that burden alone on caregivers to have to buy Depends, bed pads, rubber gloves, all the things you need that don't seem like a lot, but little by little, when you have to buy that, that really adds up. And so take that burden off of the caregivers. That's one less thing that they have to worry about, because we know that caregivers, they don't get a break, really. It's a 24/7, 365-day job. And they don't get vacation benefits. Transportation to adult day services. So we learned the hard way that we had a care receiver that couldn't attend adult daycare. And so we were working with that caregiver, and there was a bill not paid. And what it came down to was they couldn't afford to pay for the ride for their loved one to get to adult daycare. But then if their loved one didn't go to adult daycare, they would have to take off work, which meant that they were at risk of losing their job, which snowballs. So what we did is we met with our provider, Centennial Adult Care in this instance, and found a way that they coordinate some transportation and they also provide some transportation. So we set it up that they could work it into our care plan to provide that transportation cost. So that was, again, covered for that caregiver. Again, just a different type of break and a way for that caregiver to get their loved one to an adult day center so that they could continue, of course, to care for them on the nights and weekends, but it gave them a break for work. And also her father really loved to go on the bus to adult day center, and thought he was going to Atlanta for work. And I always loved that. So looking ahead, again, we always want to have goals. We always want to have things to work towards. Some of the things we are really working for are to get home modifications. That's been something that's been on my heart for several years, and we're still trying to get that figured out and worked. Because one of the main goals of older adults is to age in place. I think most of us here would prefer to stay in our home as long as we can. I mean, I know that my goal isn't to end up in a nursing facility. I know that we can't control what happens to us health-wise, but sometimes when you are on a fixed income, being able to make those small repairs, those small modifications, you can't do that. So you're letting things go in disrepair little by little by little until it becomes a home that's not safe for you to stay in. And so that might be forcing you out of that environment. So if we can provide that assistance, then we can maybe help people stay at home. Enabling technology, again, our state agency, what a great partner. They have created a great space in the disability world with enabling technology. And so we are hoping to build off of that and use some of that technology for older adults. Just being able to turn on smart light switches, set your air conditioning, the Ring doorbell so they can see who is at their door. Just some small things, but can make a really big difference. And then digital literacy, we had a really successful pilot for digital literacy programs that we worked with our senior centers. Individuals would take 15 classes and learn how to use a Chromebook. And at the end, they got to take that home, but only if they completed the whole course. And we have received some additional grants that we will be able to continue that. We're hoping to serve about 500 adults, which we're super excited about. It's a really big goal, but I think we're gonna crush it. And then community engagement. Again, we want people to know about us. We want people to know about our services. We're coming up next year to our big area plan update. And so our goal is to hit every county and do a listening session in every county. So I'm reaching out, I'm using a lot of our aging advisory committee members that a lot of you have appointed to help us in our senior centers to help set those up. We want to engage older adults. We want to engage caregivers. We want to engage providers. We want the whole network to come together and talk. We want to talk about the strength of the partnership and the network. We also want to find out what the gaps are, because what's needed in Trousdale County might not be needed in Humphreys County, might not be needed in Rutherford. Our funding is meant to be local, and so we want to make sure that we are addressing local needs. And so as we talk to our aging advisory committee about these issues, we've asked them for their input on what are some of what they feel the needs are for seniors. So the top three are transportation, food access, and healthcare. And I do want to mention, I skipped over this food access. So in talking about our nutrition services, we are losing about $164,000 in the coming year for nutrition. That means meals served to older adults. So we are concerned about this. And I know from my partners across the state that this is a big issue that everybody's starting to deal with. So again, that's just something I want you to know about that is a big concern. Again, we're working with our state agency to find ways to address that. But then they highlighted some other needs, but we really appreciate this committee and their their willingness to go through some of these issues with us and to set up these listening sessions so that we can be a better AAAD, that we can serve on the local level, and we can try to meet those actual needs, not just what we perceive those needs to be. So we also have a survey. We would love for participation, knowing what the issues for older adults are in your community. And even if you don't want to fill that out, but you want to send me an email and send me all, like bullet point, all the issues you see, I would love it. I welcome any feedback. So I think, yeah, that's it. I'll leave it up on the survey, not my face. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Any questions on the presentation? Yes, sir.
I was curious what the requirements are for an ombudsman.
Back to Ms. Sarah.
I know there is training. I don't, as far as for the actual ombudsman, I believe they have to have like a social work or degree or related field. But they do use a network of volunteers as well. And so for those volunteers, they would have to have like a background check and go through some training to make sure that they understand just sensitive information, privacy, and then how to handle complaints. But they do use a lot of volunteers. So if anybody wants to be a volunteer. But yeah, does that?
Yeah, I think you gave me some direction there. And again, remind me how many people you're serving every year.
Ooh, I should have had that information for you. It's about over on the poster. Oh. Here. So here, by service. It shows where the individuals are in the county where we're serving. So each dot is an actual location of somebody who's received a service, whether it's a meal, whether it's in-home services, yeah, or whether they called into our helpline. So if we get their zip code or their address, we can, so that gives you.
Any other questions? Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, as the council considers the resolution before you, which is 2025-05, which would approve the annual update to the 4-year plan that Sarah just mentioned. I do want to just thank Sarah Fowler for everything that she does for our team. You can tell how personal this is for her. And like me, we're often looking for what the gaps are across the region, but it's important that you know that we're also very optimistic people. And that's what brings us to work every day. The other thing I want to do is just acknowledge all the folks that work at GNRC. We have 85 professionals at GNRC. Most of the people around the table have met a planner or an ECD specialist or a researcher, but know that 1 out of every 2 of us are a social worker or a case manager helping Middle Tennesseans with day-to-day activities. I also want to acknowledge and thank Lauren Legate for being here with us today. She oversees the State Unit on Aging at the Tennessee Department of Disability Aging, working with Commissioner Turner, who heads up that department, a cabinet level member of the governor's administration. Really impressed with the partnership that they have brought to the table since they merged with the Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disability. And the funding issues that Sarah alluded to earlier are a subject of our conversations every single day. Some of the funding issues relate to the end of life for the American Rescue Plan and the COVID era funds, but also we are being very mindful of conversations happening in Washington, DC right now that might impact our programs. So just wanted to acknowledge all of that as y'all move to entertain the resolution.
I have another question, if I could, Mr. Chairman, and that has to do with the $164,000 that's not going to be in your feeding program this year. Is there an opportunity to reach out to some of the local organizations like One Gen Away or Feed America First or any of those other organizations to maybe make up that gap?
That's a good question. And as we go forward and finalize our budget, because we've already started talking with Metro Social Services and Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency, and asked for their proposed needs for the next year. So there are some opportunities for us to kind of transfer funding in certain categories if we can. So we're gonna first look at how we can meet what we think the need is gonna be. And then once we're there, then we'll look at other probably partner opportunities. Because it is a very big concern for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any, part of this that, someone, maybe could talk with people who deal with, like mental illness and depression? When they age, it just seems like when they lose their ability to drive and they're locked in maybe their house and they can't get around. It seems like to me, at least the people in, my circle, I see that they, if they deal with mental illness, it gets a lot worse. And then also they, some that, lose their freedom because of, aging,
Yeah.
they deal with depression. So is there any part of the organization that provides any help with that?
So not officially. However, I have started to form a partnership with oh my goodness. Yes, thank you, Center Stone. Thank you, Rachel. Because they have programs specifically to deal with mental health issues. So while we are not experts in that space, we want to partner with them, and we are looking at ways to formalize that partnership. Right now, they have program for funding specifically for older adults. So we, if we get people, we are referring them on to them. We're planning and this next year to bring them into our agency to do some in-house training for our staff so that we can better identify those needs and make good referrals. And that way also when we get calls on the helpline, we are better. I mean, I don't want to say better because they're great at finding resources, but just having a better understanding of what that Centerstone can provide specifically. So we, interagency, we don't specifically, but that is something we see as a huge and growing need.
And what are the hours of the helpline?
8 to 4:30. Now, I will tell you, we have a lot of calls and limited staff, so you may get voicemail, but our staff is really good at getting you called back within 2 business days. So I just want to highlight that because I don't want to set up unreal expectations that you'll get a live person. Hopefully you would. But that means our call volume's low that day.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Michael, this is more for you in the resolution. Last whereas you're asking for a request for waiver. That would provide certain case managements. Can you be more specific? I've had a bad taste with this after 54 decided to move out of the area. Now the outcome has been good. We rolled it over to our Parks and Rec, but we also found there were some contracted services there. Without getting into the weeds, tell me what you're doing here.
Yes, sir. So what this is doing is acknowledging that as a AAAD, our primary responsibility is set goals and objectives for the region, to prioritize the funding, and then to procure the providers to deliver those services. What we're doing is acknowledging that we are going to directly provide a couple of those services, particularly in the form of case management and information assistance counseling of the 2 things that we provide in-house. And so we're making sure that we're staying in compliance with federal regulations by acknowledging that we're directly providing that. It's not a change to our business practice. It's just language we need to include in the resolution in order to stay in compliance with the regulations. And Sarah, please feel free to add anything to that.
Sure.
And to that point, I mean, the work that is being done across the region by Mid-Cumberland HRA, which is our largest provider outside of Davidson County, the Metro Social Services within Davidson County is quite tremendous. But there's so much need And so limited resources, at least on the public sector side, to address this issue that I think it is important to celebrate the accomplishments, but to work together to figure out how to bring more resources to the table. This is going to affect everybody's life. This is not about adopting a planning document. This is about making sure that we can age gracefully and have a high quality of life as we get into that era of our life.
Any other questions? Being none, it would be in order to have a motion to accept the updated plan.
So moved.
Got a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or that has passed. So to move us on to resolution 2025-06, amending the administration plan, the revolving loan fund program. We turn it back over to Mr. Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I get into this, though, if you haven't met Lauren, though, Lauren, could you raise your hand one more time? She is with us today, so please introduce yourself to her after the meeting if you can, and really pick her brain about the issues in your community. And then Rachel Salava is our outreach manager for Aging and Disability Services. And so you have that toll-free number, but you also have Rachel as your go-to to get these services into your community. Next item on the agenda, I'll keep this brief. I know we're close to time, but we are bringing to you today information about a revolving loan fund program that we administer. This is also timed in conjunction with some revisions that we need to make to our public-facing document that describes how we're going to administer this program. But the short of this is that you all know GNRC is designated by the Department of Commerce, U.S. Economic Development Administration as the Economic Development District for Northern Middle Tennessee. That brings to bear a lot of resources to our community in terms of investing in job creation activities. One of those programs that we're eligible as at EDD is to participate with EDA in a revolving loan fund, which they capitalize typically at a 50% share, most recently at an 80% share. And then we chip in funds as an organization, as a community, to create a loan program to give gap financing to small businesses who otherwise are having difficulties accessing lending from traditional private market. So we have a loan program that is capitalized at about a rate of $5 million right now. We can do loans up to $500,000 in the form of gap financing. You've got a handout here at your table, also online at gnrc.org/RLF. That describes the eligible activities and typical terms, but these are typically very favorable terms for small businesses. And even if they weren't, sometimes it's the only access to capital that they need to expand their business and create jobs within the community. I'm going to talk a little bit about the revisions that we've made to the administration plan that we need your approval on to get to EDA in the coming days. But first, in terms of what you can do, because this is another one of those, it can be very overwhelming to figure out how to get the word out about this, just like the Aging and Disability Services. So what we really need from you when it comes to promoting our RLF program is to connect us with folks within your community that might be associated with merchants associations or Main Street programs or local chambers of commerce that are working directly with small businesses that have a vision for themselves to expand. It's best that we work through those networks to make sure that individual businesses know about this opportunity versus us trying to retail market to individual businesses across Middle Tennessee. That there just aren't the resources to do that. So any connection that you have with a local business community, particularly those associations, we'd appreciate you making that connection for us. And then if you want to personally advocate for this loan opportunity within your community, we're here to get you supported to do that. So we're, Kendi Henry, our chief legal counsel, has become an expert on the RLF program in recent days. This is actually managed by Amy Napoli and the ECD staff, but it's really a team effort as we try to reform our approach to the entire program. I'll end, Mr. Chair, with a look at the revisions that we have prepared for the amendment to our administration plan. The administration plan is required by EDA, basically just tells everybody how we are planning to approach the execution of the loan program on behalf of EDA and our region. This is a document that you all, the last major update to this document was last year at some point, I think February-ish of last year. So this is the first amendment to that document that we're bringing to you. One of the reasons that we're amending this document is just Given some recent activities in Washington, the presidential executive orders have required EDA to work with their partners to address the requirements of those EOs, particularly around DEI. So we've made some language edits to reflect that. There's been no change in our non-discrimination policy, which is still very visible on our website. But we, in order to remain compliant with those EOs, have made some text changes to that end. And the other maybe more day-to-day operational the impact is just updating our language to reflect the current state of practice with respect to how we staff this program, the potential for us to work with external partners for certain parts of the function that we need to play here, as well as acknowledging a little bit better our loan review committee that helps, that essentially pulls together industry experts to look at the creditworthiness of the applications that we're getting into the program and to assess the economic impact that that investment would have within the community. So there's some language that better describes that loan review process. Also, many of you know we staff the Mid-Cumberland Area Development Corporation. Corey Johns is a member of that board of directors, for example. That entity is looking to merge with another certified development company on the small business lending side, SBA loans through the 504 program. And so we have historically relied on the MADC board of directors to serve as a loan review committee. And so many of the individuals on that board will continue to be on our loan review committee, but the association with the entity itself, we're just going ahead and reconciling the language with respect to those references. Candy, anything else you want to add in terms of what's prepared in the proposed amendment to EDA? I will say that we've been doing this in partnership with EDA program staff. They have tentatively accepted our proposed revisions subject to approval by this council body. So with this resolution that's on the table today, we'll get the plans turned into EDA and then work with you to get this money out the door to local businesses within your community.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions?
It says interest rates as low as 4% for qualified on this. Is that a fixed rate or is that not?
You're so kind because you didn't point out the typo. Look at you.
No, you
That
got
should
it
say,
right.
that should say borrow, right? But thank you for that. You're so nice. This is a variable interest rate. We try to keep it relatively low. Do you want to speak to that?
So there's a federal regulation that sets it with the lowest point and the highest point with reference to prime. But when the loan is closed, it is fixed for the duration of the loan. So the borrower will know upfront what they're looking at in terms of pricing.
But we try to keep it on the low end in terms of the pricing.
This is an economic and community development program. When we had a CARES Act RLF, we were doing 2 years no interest. We almost always float on the lowest side that we can do under the regulations in conjunction with a review of the creditworthiness of the.
With respect to interest, though, interest is important for us to charge that along with some front-end fees and servicing fees, which we also try to keep low. But that is the only source of income we have to pay for our staffing to do the program. There's no other pot of money, right? So to the extent we can keep those rates very low, that's our intent because of, as Candy mentioned, this is a economic development, community development investment. But those fees and the interest rate is important to administering the program as well.
And it's understandable that an interest rate would be charged, but I think where it's kind of scary for people is like if it's a revolving or variable rate and they get, they start out at say 4% and then all of a sudden it jumps up to something there is not manageable for them. And that was my question.
Servicing fees is every 5 years during the term of repayment, the servicing fees are adjusted downward because the servicing fees are in relation to the outstanding principal. So not only do they know day one what their interest rate is going to be, but the actual servicing fees go down commensurately.
Thank you.
But the rate is fixed. I misused the term variable in that answer. But Mr. Chair, that is a staff presentation for you today.
Thank you, Michael. Any further questions?
Chairman, I'd make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Got a motion on the floor to accept the resolution. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of GNRC 2025-06, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or that has passed. Thank you for that. That moves us on up to our chair's report. Again, sitting in for Mayor Pitts. Information I do want to bring to your attention with a few bullet points here. The audit has been performed by the Crossland CPAs, has been filed with the appropriate officials, including the Office of Tennessee Comptroller and the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. The audit is available online at gnrc-org/audit. A formal presentation is scheduled for the upcoming meeting of the GNRC Board of Directors on May 13th. Overall, a clean audit. Unmodified, clean opinion of financial statements. Auditor performed detailed testing on 3 of GNRC's major federal programs funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. No findings over internal control over financial statements. No finding over federal programs under the uniform guidance. This is the 6th consecutive year that GNRC has received a clean audit without findings. Regarding the financial statements, it was noted that GNRC has a healthy balance sheet with $8.22 million in cash and cash equivalents at fiscal year end. The GNRC line of credit was not used. Management was able to use cash on hand to cover expenses. And finally, on what we will bring to you today is staff has implemented several enhancements to the organization's financial internal control procedures and financial management systems in recent years and should be commended for their dedication to continuous process improvement. Thank you, Michael.
I'll applaud for that.
Yeah.
Megan Nelson?
Everyone involved. Yes, great report and great audit. That brings us up to our executive director's report. Mr. Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a list. I promise to be brief, but I'll start off with a reminder that April is Global Volunteer Month. We have information about how you can bring that to your local community online at gnrc.org/volunteer month. If you attended our Transportation Policy Board meeting last month, you heard from Rebecca Nofi about our volunteer program and the impact that it has across Middle Tennessee. But I will say, and I have these generally memorized, but we used 2,000 volunteers over the last program year who donated 20,000 hours of their time, which equated to about $640,000 worth of labor. We didn't have to pay for that we use to amplify the programs and services that we deliver across Middle Tennessee. A lot of the work we do on the aging disability side would not be possible with the time donated by time and intellect and compassion donated by Middle Tennesseans who are looking to give back to their community. So wanted to just remind you about this, the month of April and the celebration of volunteerism. May will be another celebration for us all. It's the Older Americans Month, and we're going to be hosting an event at our offices around the fourth floor. So this is an opportunity for you to send constituents or staff members or senior centers to an event to learn more about what we and the Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging and TennCare provide in terms of resources to your community. Also, a couple of grant announcements for you. GNRC administers on behalf of the Tennessee Arts Commission, the Arts Build Communities Grant Program, which is managed by Ashley Oval on our staff. We do have a call for projects out right now, call for applications. The deadline for submissions in many of the communities sitting around this table, as well as nonprofits within your communities who have applied for these funds previously. You've got a flyer here, so I'm not going to go into the details, but if you have any questions about this, reach out for the contact information, but keep in mind that the deadline is approaching. Where is that, Ashley? What's the deadline? July 1st, and then there are a couple of interim dates that you should have in mind as you prepare your applications. There is another, I didn't put on the slide here, but we also administer for the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development grants to help with marketing for local DMOs, destination management organizations, or tourist assets within your community. I just sent out an email to our local partners within your communities, letting them know that this cycle is open right now for reimbursements that they may want to have us provide to them for marketing of an event, or like the Portland Strawberry Festival, for example, as an example of something that's benefited from this in a very minor way. I know all the work is done by you, Sherry, and your team. But if you've got expenses related to marketing for an event or an asset, or you have staff that have traveled to a trade show or a conference for skill set development, those activities could be eligible for the grant that we have. I'll put that in the recap email that goes out, but that information has gone out to our local partners. Going back to the slide though, really looking forward to the field trip that we're taking tomorrow to Huntsville, short drive down Interstate 65 to look at a modern waste to energy plant. It's an incineration based waste energy plant that is really well operated. So we are really excited to take mayors and local leaders down to visit that site. And then we have with us that day, the mayor of Huntsville, to talk about his role, his community's role in the solid waste authority that exists there and how they work together across political jurisdictions to address that issue. We still have seats available on the bus that we're taking down. We're leaving out of Williamson County, the Williamson County Ag Expo right there off the interstate. So if you are interested in making this trip with us, we will have you back. I should have said that, by rush hour, so that you can get the rest of the way home. But we're looking to come back, leave about 8:15, come back by 3:15. I guess it depends on where you live as to whether or not that's before rush hour. But that is something we're very excited for. And there are still seats available on that trip. I know it's tomorrow, but if you're interested, let me know. And then finally, want to give a big shout out to our partners at Think Tennessee, who did a first ever convening of mayors across the state and down in Mayor Moore's neck of the woods. I appreciate you and the Williamson Inc., Williamson County Chamber of Commerce for hosting the event. But Aaron Hafkinshield with Think Tennessee is trying to emulate some of the magic that you all have working together as part of the Middle Tennessee's Mayor's Caucus to bring together Tennessee's largest cities. We have the top 13 mayors were invited to that event. The focus was on housing and infrastructure and how the larger cities in the state are addressing that issue. And TML was there for a look at state policy, state legislation that might impact our ability to address those issues within our local communities. Mayor Moore, I don't know if you want to say anything about that event, but it was a really good coming together. Mayor Kelly out of Chattanooga, Mayor Young out of Memphis, Mayor O'Connell was there. Knoxville mayor was there, and Smyrna was represented. Of course, you representing Franklin, but anything you want to say about that event?
I think I would just ditto what you said. It was a good opportunity to have that conversation. First time I met the Memphis mayor, and it's all about relationships and how can we continue to build those relationships across the state.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And I know just the beginning for what Erin's going to try to be doing, not try, but she will be doing over the coming years to bring more attention to the needs of our communities across the state as we engage the state legislature and the administration. Let me check my notes. I think that is all I have for you, Michelle. Anything on your mind? Oh, okay. And before we go, we have as other business, we'll want to entertain adoption of the October meeting minutes, which were deferred from the December meeting where we lacked quorum. So we had those minutes handed out before this meeting, but they were included in the packet for your December meeting. So just a reminder to go back to that under other business. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll wrap up our report.
We'll pick it up from there. We have a motion for the October 16th meeting. Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second. All in favor of adopting the minutes as presented from October 16th, 2024, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, declare those have passed. Any other business before the council board today? Yes, ma'am.
Our Board of Commissioner meeting in Fairview is tomorrow, and we have a lot on our agenda. So is it a possibility? I'd love to go on that trip, but is it a possibility that we would be late because I really can't miss that meeting?
One option you have
We started.
is, man, how do I answer that question? We're going to be back by 3:15. So the only thing that's going to get in our way is some unexpected issue with the interstate. But hopefully there's enough buffer for you being in Williamson County when we come back, maybe hopping onto 840 and getting home pretty quickly would work for you. I'd love to have you there. And it is possible, and we won't be offended if you feel like driving yourself would give you that flexibility to get back on time if needed. So that's an option as well.
Thank you.
Love to have you.
Any other questions or business? Motion to adjourn be in order. Stand adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good job.